Today I'm going to discuss what I feel are the strengths of the proposed process, as well as some suggestions, opportunities to how PHMSA can support the regulators, not only state regulators, but federal regulators, and possibly even help operators in terms of interpreting the chart in the future. We feel there are several strengths associated with the process. The one is the fact that there is a defined process. If you have processes that are undefined, they're often incomplete, targets aren't met, so we feel it is important to actually do have a defined process, and I think the process does define targets and expectations, and I think this is important for getting any goal reached. We also support the applicability portion of the proposed under the process. We like the idea, of course, of having operators covered under the integrity management requirements covered, but we also like the idea of having systems which are potentially can impact roadways, rural gathering, and even non-HCA systems. We like the idea of having them included in this process. I think history has shown that you can have fatalities and negative repercussions in non-high consequence areas, and we believe that safety is a culture issue. And if you have a culture which allows low risk, that tolerates low risks, we just believe that you're setting yourself up for problems down the road. So we believe that the applicability requirements for this type of rule should be more wide range. We also support PHMSA's efforts to get a handle on the low frequency ERWC mission. We know that there's quite a bit of work on this, especially in the IMP framework. We still occasionally see low-frequency pipe pop up, and this is an issue which we need to be persistent on. The final strength, which I believe on the IVP proposal, is it's an attempt to eliminate uncertainty, and I've already mentioned the importance of eliminating uncertainties and unknowns in pipeline systems. But when you talk to people that are involved in safety management processes, and one of the theorems that comes out is the greater the level of control that we have over our facilities, the greater the level of safety for the system, for the company. Unknowns, uncertainty, short circuits the process of control. So we feel it's a critical aspect of maintaining safety. There are several suggestions that we would like to see if the issues here are ultimately carried out. When we had the experience with our operator, we had them cut coupons out, and the natural question is, how many coupons? What's statistically representative? Where should they be cut? How should they be prepared? Some guidance on this area I think would be appreciated, not only from the perspective of ultimately, it provides a process where it's more efficient and more effective when you have a detailed guidance procedure in front of you. So just be more efficient from a regulator standpoint. Other suggestions are along the lines of in situ, the in situ non-destructive testing proposal. This is a technology which had previously been mentioned to us, but we have no experience with it. And our experience with new technologies is that often they're carried out without a full understanding of the limitations. So we would like to see some guidance from PHMSA in terms of how to apply in situ non-destructive techniques in the future to determine pipeline specifications. And Steve's already mentioned some possibilities in terms of doing destructive testing alongside of the in situ, and we would appreciate guidance on that in the future also. If engineering critical assessment is used for a tool in determining MAOP, we'd like to see some further guidance on that. When you look at the history of implementing IMP requirements, when you look at accident reports, probably the most challenging aspect of implementing those reports has to do with the management of cracks. we'd like to see more guidance on how to do that as regulators. Particularly interested in crack modeling, especially with respects to how slick loads affect crack growth, understanding how to estimate crack growth rates, how to determine remaining life of cracks, potential for interactive, what's the magnitude of an interactive threat, how you determine that. We'd like to see some guidance in that area also. And the last suggested area for guidance that we'd like to see is in the area where spike tests are being used for MAOP determinations. We'd like to get a better understanding of estimating the remaining life of remaining cracks of pipe segments based on crack threats, get an idea of hold times, impacts in terms of pressure increases, how those affect the ultimate evaluation can be made based on the pressure test. So in conclusion, NAPSR feels the integrity verification process fills an important need in efforts to improve pipeline safety. But like all processes, and not only the IVP process, we encourage the continued evaluation and improvement of these processes because it's through improvement that the goal of pipeline safety is ultimately achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.